In Love is presented by Smile Direct Club, who makes it easier than ever to straighten your smile without brackets, wires, and monthly office visits.
For $100 off your aligners, just go to smiledirectclub.com/podcast and use the offer code
In Love.
Welcome to In Love with Michael Rosenbaum
And Chris Sullivan,
where we explore the universal language of love,
walk through the struggles of love lost,
and together navigate the bumpy and gratifying road to happiness.
Loving me, loving myself, working on my state of mental health. And I never thought it would go this far. You said we'd just be friends, but I'm standing here full of emptiness, I confess. I'm a beautiful mess.
How about this episode today?
I mean, you know, it's the first time we haven't discussed, wow, what a great song that was that we were just listening to.
Which one?
The song that we were just listening to.
I'm unfamiliar.
Oh, it's nothing. It's from this band, Left on Laurel.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it really was. This guest, it was so good that I asked her, will she not? We asked guests, oh, I'd love to have you back, blah, blah, but we don't really mean it.
This could be a recurring segment on this podcast.
I think this is what this podcast needs.
Her name is Shan Boodram. She is a sexologist, a sex educator, and a journalist, and she's written a new book called The Game of Desire.
The Game of Desire.
She breaks it all down for us. We talked about sex. We talked about sexuality. We talked about dating. We talked about monogamy.
Vabbing.
We talked about vabbing.
Dude, vabbing. Wait till you hear what vabbing is. You guys are going to die.
And she breaks it all down for us. She's an incredibly intelligent, funny, beautiful, well-educated person who has changed our lives today.
Dude,
educated us quite a bit.
It's going to change your lives. This is one episode you have to listen to because I think you're going to just learn a shit ton from it.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, this is our second podcast today. It was they were both really good. They were fun. You know, it's been a good day. I'm trying to still balance things in life.
Yeah.
I'm trying to take a deep breath and kind of relax. I feel like I rush through things. I feel like even my meditation lately, I'm kind of like not present enough. And it kind of scares me. So I'm trying to take a step back and go, stop it. Stop thinking about all these things. Just breathe, focus on your breathing, and sit here until you can relax.
Yeah. How's your neck feeling?
I got some injections. You know, it's a little better. I'm doing fine. It's just, I think I get fatigued after a while, but I'm doing, thanks for asking. How are you doing? You
I'm doing really well. I'm really tired, recently, like consistently exhausted, but what that has done for me is really slowed me down. Which has actually been kind of beneficial. You know, I've not been trying to run around and cram in extra things, even though I'm very busy.
The power of no, too, is important.
The power of no.
Just saying no.
Yeah, just no thanks. I'm sorry. I don't have the energy. I have finite amounts of energy, and I have none for you.
Well, you have your show. You got This Is Us. Yeah. You got your wife. You got, you have a dog. You
have dogs now.
You have 2 dogs. You have your music. You have enough going on.
I got this amazing podcast. I get to come here and hang out with you.
Mm-hmm. Get to hang out with Mia, too. It's a real treat, isn't it?
I haven't been this tired in a long time, so it's been an interesting feeling to see how I kind of medicate with caffeine, which is not good for me.
No.
It puts me in a really weird spot.
Mm-hmm.
My character defects seem to come to the surface a lot quicker when I'm tired.
Oh, yeah. Impatient.
Ornery.
Yeah.
Mostly impatient.
Well, let me tell you something. I've heard in the last few days, this is the time where people are getting sick. They're getting under the weather, stomach. Just be on top of it. Take vitamin C.
Yeah.
Drink a lot of vitamin C. Chug more water than you ever have. Try to really get that good 7-8 hours of sleep.
That's good advice.
Those simple things.
I like that advice.
Yeah, I think that's important. Whatever it is, if you're getting to bed I'm going to bed at 11 and I'm waking up at 7 and I'm going to exercise and take a lot of vitamin C, drink water.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we'll be good.
All right, well, that's all solved then.
Yeah. Right.
You guys, this episode, I cannot wait for you to hear it, so why don't we just hear it?
So the first thing you said was, when I said put the microphone close to your lips, you said...
You want it dick sucking distance.
Which is also known as DSD.
Yes.
You see how I put that
Few
together?
people know that. Very few people know that. So.
DSD. There's DSL.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that means?
There's ASL.
Is DSL like an internet term?
Yeah, it's DSL. It's for your cord. It's also, I heard something else it could stand for.
Shan,
Oh, we're starting. Hello.
I mean, at some point we should tell people. I mean, we've already done an intro, but we're here with Shan Boodram. Boodram?
Hello.
Boodram?
Woo! No,
Boodram.
it should rhyme.
It should, right?
Shan
It-
Shan
Boodram.
Boodram. Boom.
It
Shan.
flows.
Shan
Boodram.
Boodram.
So
Yeah.
Shan and I went on a talk show the other night, and we hit it off. I don't know how you felt. My publicist thought we did great.
You killed me. You know what? I've seen you smash everything that you did. I saw you on an ET thing, I think like a couple days before.
Oh yeah.
Smash that. So
Thanks.
this is just who you are.
We had a good time, and instantly I was like, "You need to come on and share your wisdom with us." We talked a little bit about the podcast on the show.
Yes.
About two middle-aged, straight, white men who need to be educated as the world changes. And it
Yes.
is changing rapidly, Shan.
Yes. We need your perspective. We need a new perspective. This is probably, I'm most excited about this episode. I know that you're like, we've had great guests. I know that we have celebrities and this and that. We've talked, but like having a sex educator on here, I mean, I think this could easily last 6 hours.
Good.
What are all the titles?
It's only gonna be an hour.
You are a sex educator. You are a sexologist.
Yes.
You are an author.
Yes.
Of a new book
The
called.
Game of Desire.
And what is the subtitle?
5 Surprising Secrets to Dating with Dominance and Getting What You Want.
That's nailed it.
You
That's
know that I
frightening.
didn't write that subtitle when I'm like, what did they call it?
Yeah.
What was the publisher's hook that they were like, we got this
Right.
sizzling subtitle for you?
Right.
Yeah.
It seems like the subtitle is the new fad thing. Every book, no book is just titled
Oh, no. Yeah, you got to give them a little bit more.
Yeah,
You
right.
know how people are these days.
The Game of Desire.
Shan, it's SHAN.
Yes.
Shan Boodram.
Yes.
Shan Boodram. Shan Boodram. Shan Boodram.
I
That should be a
also
lyric in a
go,
song.
by Shan Booty online.
Shan Booty. Shan
Yes.
Booty. Boodram.
BODDY.
Yeah, it's a play off of my last name, not my
So
anatomy.
before people listen to you, I think like before I listen to you, well, I'm going to listen to you no matter what, but they probably
you're
want to be
sitting here.
educated on like, where does this woman come from? How does she get the experience? How does she have the knowledge to write a book so bold, so surprising,
so surprised.
Instructive.
instructive? So honestly, so if you ask, hey, could you do open heart surgery? You're going to go, where did you go to school, sir? Before you open
Yes.
up my body. Well, I went to UCLA Medical School. I have seen many cadavers. I've operated on hundreds of people. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I actually like to think about my education beginning when I was like 4 to 5 years old. I think people think of purpose as this thing that they have to find and discover and move towards. And for me, it was something I had to go back and claim again. Because when I was, when people are real young and they're like apt at the piano, like that's going to be a pianist one day. I was just like really fascinated by the human body. So I feel like by ages like 5 years old, I remember having really great consensual experiences with pillows, and I remember enjoying my body. And by the time I was like 7, my Barbies were banned from being naked because at the grocery store, they just never had. I thought it was just a very natural thing to have the human body on display.
Consensual experiences with pillows, I believe you just threw out.
Yes.
And you went fast through it.
Yeah, just
Like humping a pillow.
I feel like I had like full relationships. I used to talk intimately to the pillow, and I would like tell the pillow what I wanted to do. I just or tell or explain my body to the pillow. I just really remember having these vivid experiences.
But you had to get that from something, somewhere. Were your parents like having sex in front of you? What was going on?
No, they weren't. I mean, I come from a Caribbean household. I went to a Catholic school, so I really firmly believed that my mom lost her virginity to someone that she loved and then waited until she had children, and
Right.
then came me. I had no idea that she had like sexual desires or a sex life, and so no, I didn't have that. I do truly believe that it was just something that was purposefully ingrained in my DNA, that I knew that this was something that I wanted to do. So fast forward, I went to school for journalism, and in journalism school, they say, write what you know. If you know Britney Spears, you're going to be an entertainment reporter.
Right.
If you know sports, you become a sportscaster.
Okay.
And I thought, I feel like I know fucking. I feel like that.
Wait, did you just say you feel
what
like
age?
you know fucking?
I feel like that's my topic. That's the thing I know, and
Okay.
that I'm very passionate about. So throughout school, that was like my discipline. I was like a sex and relationship reporter, and I came out of school, and my first book, Laid, which came out in 2009, was published, and that was a journalistic look at how sexuality had changed because of our easy access culture. the subtitle was Sex in Our Easy Access Culture.
Okay.
That one's for you, Chris.
You're referring to, what are you referring to? Social media? What are you referring to?
Yeah,
as
well,
far
in
as-
2009, it was just the internet.
So it was just
right?
internet.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was just chat rooms. It was
Now it's all access.
Yes, now it's apps and phones and whatever. I think back then it was really just like the computer. But yeah, absolutely. How being able to have the world at your fingertips and have easy access has changed the way that people do sexualize. After that, I went to University of Toronto and I did a CE course there, which is a continuing education course to become a sex education counselor, where I worked in the university for a couple of years, moved to California in 2014, went to a school in San Francisco called the Institute for Advanced Study of Human Sexuality, and then I did a couple certifications there.
I
And now
feel
here.
like that school can only exist in San Francisco.
Oh, I don't know where else it should exist.
Right.
Yeah, it was amazing. And
It
I
is
was
a-
there during Pride Week.
A sexy and sexual town.
Yes.
Not where I grew up in Evansville, Indiana. I don't think that would be a place where you'd go study. that.
Polar opposite.
It's a little bit,
I feel like the Kinsey Institute is somewhere close to there.
Is it?
I think
That's probably true.
I don't, my geography in America is not that great. Let me admit that first and foremost. So I think of Middle America as just one giant like collective that feels close together. So
That's all right. That's good.
is Indiana east or west?
It's in the Midwest. It's right between, there's
Smack in the
Illinois
middle.
right next to it. It's just east of Illinois, and it's right around Ohio and right in between all that stuff, like Missouri. It's all like right in that middle area.
What kind of sexual person did Indiana raise?
Man, my parents were kind of private, although the only thing I remember is seeing my mother's boobs when I was young.
That's the
And-
only thing you remember?
No, I saw Mrs. Cutter's boobs, God rest her soul, but that really lit me up. When I saw seeing your mother's not fun. I don't want to see that. In fact, I never want to see that again.
It's
So
a
you
tale
saw
as
it
old
at
as
an
time.
age
This
where
goes
you
back to
acknowledge
Greek
this is a
times.
private body part. It wasn't a natural part.
Whoa, what's that about? And what's really weird now, I'm not actually going to say I'm going to sound like a creep. I'm like going, they're pretty good boobs then. I remember.
Your mom or Mrs. Cutter?
Both. They both had
Okay,
good boobs.
great.
But like my
Good to
mother,
know.
my mother, I didn't think about. Mrs. Cutter, I walked by a room down to Danny's room, my buddy, and I just saw this woman taking off her bra, and she looked at me, and I looked at her, and I went, "Oh man, that's really awesome." And I started imagining, fantasizing, like what would it be if Danny wasn't at, if he wasn't home one day, and I came and knocked on the door, and this older woman. I mean, I was like 10. And I was like, what, but I didn't know back then there's no instant gratification. There's no internet. There's no nothing. You'll meet somebody at a movie theater. Like, I'll see you there at 7. I hope you're there. So if you hearing about sex, jerking off, masturbation, that was frowned upon, especially where I grew up. People were like, you jerk off, you're gay. I remember people saying that. I'm like, wait, am I gay? Because I touched my penis? I didn't know what was right, what was wrong. No one was helping me. I didn't do well in health class.
So the Midwest raised a confused and anxious sexual person.
Sure, I didn't have sex till I don't think I was 18, and I don't know. It wasn't as open. People didn't talk about this stuff,
Right.
especially in the Midwest. You didn't talk about that stuff, but you seemed to, like, at a young age, people would talk about it, right?
I think that I knew it was right to talk about it. I think that I was overcorrected through school and through family rearing. And I think that the things that I was drawn to, because I still had the curiosity, was porn, because I grew up when, online porn was a new and emerging thing. And I also read a lot of books. So I actually think that I wanted to talk about it, but didn't get the right information, sort of like you. And experiences like Mrs. Cutter and the confusion around homosexuality because you enjoy pleasure. I mean, I think I can relate to some of those, not in like the exact same ways. I didn't see any boobs that.
Yeah. So can I ask? It's rude to ask a lady her age, but in this instance, in order to ask the next question, may I ask how old you are?
Yes.
I'll guess 19. See, it's always safe. Go 19.
1985.
85.
Yeah, 85, 34.
34.
Yeah.
All right. So great. So we span 3 decades here because Mia is 25, 35, 45.
47.
I was gonna go low. I was gonna go low.
Why don't you just
Ballparking
take it? Yeah, it sounded good.
And so the 3 and I'm 39. So Michael and I are closer, I would say, than even the 4 years between you and I, Shan.
Yes.
Is much wider than the 8 years of Michael and I as far as the internet goes.
Okay, I can understand generationally because you might be on the cusp of X and millennial, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Because I didn't get full-blown internet until I want to say freshman year of college.
Okay, understood.
And so I did grow up in a house that went from having no computer to having a computer. And so I think that love and dating and sexuality and all of those things are very different, especially between 35 and 39. Because when I was 18, you were 14, that puts us in two technologically different places as far as the way we interact with the world, like you were saying.
I see what you're
access.
saying, yes.
I was, I think, 6. I was like a little.
Yeah, you
kid.
you don't know a world of the internet. I guess
Yeah.
you do know a little bit of the world.
No, I mean, my memories, the internet was.
And you don't have a memory of the world without high speed, anywhere you want it.
It was pretty
internet.
slow,
Like,
but
did
yeah.
you know about dial-up?
Yeah, I think we had dial-up when I was like
Okay.
really little. Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing
LimeWire porn.
Yeah.
as to like what Michael was saying a minute ago is I don't think that people are talking about it more often now. I think that it's just more accessible. Like when you're a kid now and you find the internet and you find porn, immediately the thing that you have is everything. It's like everything. It's any sexuality. It's like, and a lot of it is like weird, like violent
But the
stuff. Like that's
education
what's
isn't
popular.
there.
Right. People don't talk about it still.
Right,
It's
right.
not more of a talked about subject. It's just that you don't have like the one Playboy magazine you found in the woods and then you hang on to that memory forever. You have instant gratification forever.
Yeah, and I'm not one to like.
It's a lot different.
I'm not a big masturbator. I've never been.
Not even to this day?
No, and I think it's probably why. I think because of, maybe there's something that happened at a young age where I don't know. I just don't. It's not like I look frown upon. I just like when I really have to go, I'll pound it if I have to. But I'm just saying I don't do it often.
I should have brought some toys here. I get you hook you up with some really nice male masturbation
I
toys.
probably-
Give you
really?
the Cadillac of experiences. Yeah.
I haven't experienced like honestly. I don't watch much porn. I don't.
What is the difference between the way young people are being sexualized today rather than, in the 80s when we were
I feel like Mia described it really beautifully,
Yeah.
actually. I think that the reason why I wrote my first book and even my book now, 10 years later, which is more just about connection in general, because what we have done is we have increased the car value and the functionality of the car that we're driving in to get to intimacy, to get to sex. And so now the car goes 1 billion miles per hour and has these crazy doors and 1 million different buttons, and yet people still don't know how to drive. Like, the education level for how to drive hasn't improved. And so if anything, you have more people crashing and burning because there's these really high-tech gadgets that can get them there, but they just don't know what to do. So I think that that's a massive educational flaw. And I often say to people, like, yes, more sex education is important, but what about intimacy education?
right, or
Anger management for everybody.
boundaries.
Yes.
Some kind of limitation, like to have access to the universe's idea of all spans of sexuality all at once. It's like trying to learn trigonometry before learning basic math. Like there are complicated things, especially the more intimate you want to become with a partner, whether it's the more, what would you call advanced sexuality? It seems like a young mind wouldn't be able to process that, but maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, younger people are waiting longer to have sex. And so we had talked about in the show about how Gen Z is the sexless generation, is having less sex than millennials, which millennials had less sex than baby boomers did. So I think that there is this overflooding of information, I think, is giving people a cause for pause, that people are like, I don't even want to get involved with this at all.
Right.
And of course, too, there's just an increase of every single thing, of stimulation, of pressure. And I think as a result of that, it's a generation that just truly feels overwhelmed. And I think that it's not a positive thing. Sex is a really wonderful, awesome part of life. But sex, I shouldn't say that. Sex is neutral, right? It's neither good nor bad. It depends on how you interact with it. And I think that this is a prime time for us to step in and say, okay, like, this is a generation that has all the information, but no guidance. And so how can we start to create a uniformity of guidance, and so that they can discern what is good for them versus not good for them?
And how do we do that? How do we take step one? If you're out there listening and you're me, you're like, hey, how could I be a better partner? How could I just have more fun, or
Because
be more intimate or more passionate? I think I have.
This is interesting because you have kind of found yourself in the same type of position as a Gen Z-er.
Oh, do tell.
Meaning what?
Meaning you're not dating as much, meaning you're not masturbating as much, meaning you're not having as much sex, meaning as far as romance and things like that goes are a bit more isolated than, let's say, you were 20
I'm not
years
having
ago.
as much sex as I did, and I think it's because there's some kind of, in the last couple of years or however many years, there's a difference between people like, oh, he's a player, or let me say, you're not a player if you're honest with someone. If you're like, I love you, I want to be with you, and you're getting them into bed, and then that's a player.
Do you agree with this classification?
You're a rake, which is like the seductive term for somebody whose reputation is a part of their seduction style. So people know you get around because you're very honest and your reputation precedes you. And so when people are getting involved with you, they already know what that kind of comes with a little bit.
I think for like in my late 20s, early 30s, I was like, oh my God, I'm in Hollywood and I'm doing movies and I'm doing all these things. And I was having sex and I was enjoying myself and I was in a lot of relationships. And then my mid 30s, something happened where I go, you know what? It's too much work to have sex with someone if you don't really want to keep having sex with them or want to be with them. To have just sex and enjoyable sex, because most people don't want to have just sex. There's always an ulterior motive, I think. Is, girls like, no, I'm not looking for anything. Guys are like, no. But for me, I feel like feelings got in the way. Where like, I don't want to lead this person on. I really would love to have sex with this person. But you know what? It's too much work. I'd rather just become friends with them. And then if something happens, fine. So I find myself not having that much sex. Does that make sense at all?
Of course, yeah. I think that sounds like you've just experienced what works for you and you found a system. So do you feel right now that you're in a state of, I don't want to do anything because I don't know what works for me, or I found out what works for me, so thus I'm doing less?
I don't know. Look, I still have sex. I still enjoy sex. I just, there's rare moments in my life where I really was invested in someone and where everything I want, I could eat them up. I could just like, oh my God, I just can't get enough of this person. And that's rare. If you have that person that was amazing with, I'm sure we all have that one person or 3 or 5, whatever it is, then you sort of, what's the word? When you're looking at someone else, you're comparing them. I don't have that much drive to her. I can't perform like I did. So something's wrong with me. Is something wrong with the situation? I like this person. I want to hang out with them, but I can't have sex with them all the time. I can't have, it gets in your head, at least as a guy. Am I making any sense? Like, I don't know if I could do this. Like, I like you, but I'm like, maybe they're not it because I'm not as attracted as I should be. What do you think about this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's also funny that we have to look for affirmation for how we feel, because why can't that just be what your truth is? I think that's really common for a lot of people. I think that when you do experience that confusion of like, I actually don't know what adds up to good sex for me at this time, so I'm just going to take a pause until I can figure it out and then compartmentalize. All right, cool. From this relationship, what really made this sing is the fact that I felt like I could fart during sex or whatever it is. I felt a sense of anything goes in the bedroom, and that really turned me on. This other person, maybe they came visually prepared every single time, and like that was really important to me. And when you could start to really think about that, then you start to take more control over what does good sex mean for me.
Wow.
I think few people can really answer that question concretely. That's also a big thing of not having education, because we don't get the language. Like there's a site that I'm obsessed with that I boost it every second I can, not affiliated with, but it's called ohmygoshyes.com. It provides language for 12 different ways that someone can orgasm. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, is there ear orgasms? Like, no, it's all genital-based orgasms based on like primary genital, but it says like signaling, rhythm, tapping, orbiting. And now you have these words to describe something that you thought was so unique or really difficult to explain. But in addition to that, they show you how somebody who does orbit for orgasm does it on their body. And you can say, okay, I'm not alone in that way.
Wow.
Oh, interesting. So it puts a language with the physicality so that you can communicate with your partner about how you're interacting with each other.
Yes.
It's like, this is a terrible analogy, but it's like auditioning for actors. We're the only actor in there when it's happening. We never see other actors auditioning. So a lot of times we don't know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. Are we going too fast? Should we slow down? Like, and there's no communication between the person we're auditioning for and ourselves. And so being your own sexual person can be kind of isolating.
But what's the great equalizer in that case?
Tell me.
Classes.
You're saying we're not old to take classes?
Hell no. I mean,
You mean a 47-year-old man or boy man is going to go into a class and say, sitting there and go you think there's going to be 47-year-olds in there? It's probably going to be a bunch of 20-year-olds who are trying to figure it out. And they're like, what's this old guy doing in there?
You talking about acting classes or like masturbation
I'm
classes?
talking about like a class to learn more about sex and stuff.
Oh, I don't think so. That's the exact opposite experience I had. When I went to school, I was the youngest person in my class.
Really?
100%, yeah.
As always, the In Love podcast is brought to you by Smile Direct Club.
That's right. Smile Direct Club. Let me say something. You're our only
Say it.
You're our only sponsor, and who needs sponsors when you have Smile Direct?
I feel you know what? I don't even care if we ever get another sponsor.
Well, don't say that.
Okay, maybe a couple more. But Smile Direct Club has been incredible to us, for us, with us. They've sponsored this podcast from the beginning. Before they even knew how it was going to go.
Yeah.
They supported this cause.
It's beautiful. Our teeth are straighter. Our smiles are brighter. I really do love this product, this company, and I hope maybe they'll continue.
Yeah, at the beginning of this process, Michael and I went down to Beverly Hills.
We did. You don't have to go to Beverly Hills to do this.
To one of their brick and mortar shops.
Yeah.
And we got 3D scans of the inside of our maws, our gaping maws.
Yeah, what was the best thing about that?
The best thing about that was that I didn't have to do that gooey impression that the dentist
that they
used to,
and they have to make it hard.
Yeah,
they get hard, and then they have to yank them, and then if they've left it in too long, and now they're jerking your damn teeth out of your face.
Yeah, we didn't have to do any of that.
No,
they made it super easy. They took these digital scans, and then a couple weeks later, we got this beautiful Blurple, half blue, half purple box.
I love that box.
Sent to our houses with everything we needed to straighten our teeth in a mere matter of months.
Dude, and those little aligners, I just put that one every couple of weeks. I just put a new one in, and it feels a little tight, and I'm like, wow, this is working. You can feel it working. These are getting so straight. Do you remember how crooked they were?
That little tightness lets you know that it's moving, right?
That it's working.
The teeth are moving.
Yeah.
So yeah.
You should try it out because you know what? I love them as a sponsor, and if you use their $150 off your aligners, just go to smiledirect.com/podcast. Use the offer code
In Love.
Yeah, and if you do that, the more you do it, maybe they'll stay on because I really like these guys and they're helping people. People come up to me all the time.
The reason this podcast is free is because of sponsors like Smile Direct Club.
Absolutely, use them if you're going to get your teeth fixed. All right, will you?
Do it.
You get $150 off your aligners. Go to smiledirect.com/podcast. Use the offer code In Love. I got to tell you, when you came in here, there's a stigma, probably, that you have encountered or felt that being a sex educator, you're perceived a certain way. There's certainly one with me. When you walked in the room, I was like, she's probably crazy in bed because she's a sex educator. She's probably goes nuts with all sorts of shit, and that would intimidate me. Like I couldn't keep up. I don't know what I would do. I couldn't even keep excited. I definitely would have to have a Viagra. I don't know if I could do it. She'd be making me do all these things.
Stop looking at me while you're saying all these things.
I don't feel comfortable looking at her.
You're making weird eye contact.
But you know what I mean? Do you get that? Like she's such a sex educator. She's probably dating someone who fulfills all those needs. Or maybe you're not. Maybe there's no way that you could be a sex educator and just like, oh, we're gonna have missionary today. And that's in my mind.
I'm pretty boring. I'm pretty vanilla.
What's wrong with missionary?
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with it.
That's some serious eye
I like
contact.
missionary. I like the flip over, the
flip over
from behind. There's like a lot of basic.
We need the language.
I really want to hear all of Michael's positions.
I'm fun. I could do stuff, but just don't get too crazy with me. I can't do everything. I don't want to wake up with a sore neck. I can't. If I'm gonna give you oral, can you lay on the side of the bed so I can get on my knees on the floor and be level so my head isn't tilted this way or that way? There's just certain things. So you said you're boring in bed?
I feel like I'm pretty boring.
Why?
I would say, you know what, actually, too, while we were in school, we would have all these teachers or educators come in. We had like surrogate therapists come in who are people who have sex with people to help heal them. They have to be prescribed by a therapist. And so they have to know how to do all kinds of things in order to get somebody in a position where whatever it is that their sexual hang up or their paraphilia or their trauma is, they're able to tackle it head on. So sometimes if they've got a fetish or a kink that maybe is causing issues in their life, the surrogate has to be able to work through that with you. So they got to know how to do everything.
Wait a minute. Somebody is hired so a therapist can have sex with you?
Yes.
Where is this and what do you mean?
I think it's I don't know where it is or is not.
Where I can get therapy, I can go get therapy, and I'm like, okay. But you have to be attracted to your therapist.
Not every therapist. You can't just have sex with a therapist.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, but there are therapists that go, hey, you have some hang-ups, you have some things, I'm going to calm you down. I'm going to like make you feel comfortable so then you can have a healthy relationship.
Well, I don't know of one that does both. I don't know if there's like a dual one who's like a brick and mortar therapist
That seems
who sits
like it would
across
be
from
a
you,
conflict of interest.
and then can switch into, hey, I also offer this service.
Yeah, I imagine that has to be separated.
Yeah, I feel like that person is somebody who will say, hey, I think that you would really benefit from working with a surrogate. Is this something you'd be interested in doing? And then you would.
That would be. It's essentially physical therapy for creating new neural pathways in the brain in the way that you connect to a physical experience.
So wait, so I would have like, so I'd go to a therapist and they go, hey, there's this one person I think, or I have someone for you, but you get to choose to go, okay, I'm attracted to that person, right?
No, I don't think it works that way. I've never heard that before.
Well, how could you have sex with someone you're not attracted to?
Because it's not about the attraction, physicality, right?
No, I can
Let her finish that sentence because we've talked about this. You can do your Rodney impersonation later.
I think it's about somebody who is equipped to handle the vulnerable interaction and knows how to guide you. So it's about being a really good guide versus somebody who you get all hot and bothered with. And so they also really work well for people who are disabled and experience a lot of pain during sex.
Like
really can't
the Laura Dern role. Remember the Laura Dern? Wasn't there a movie where she has sex? No.
There might have been some. I feel like there's a reference. There is some pop culture reference about surrogacy. I think through that, I was exposed to all of these different things that we could be doing. We had to do this thing that was called SAR, which is like basically sexual attitude readjustment. So that from now on, if you tell me like, oh, I like to put my glasses in my urethra, I'm not going to be like no matter what someone says, I'm going to say, okay, I've seen something similar to that. I've heard something similar.
So is that an exposure training? Like where you cover it all?
It was like 40 hours of porn.
40 hours of all the different kinks and fetishes.
I couldn't be a therapist then. I couldn't be yes, I like to stick my glasses in my ass.
But that's not why.
Nobody wants to do that.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if anybody wants Michael to be a sex therapist anyway.
Well, I'm good at listening, but I'm also
You could just be a normal therapist.
I am
Michael.
overwhelmed by this. This is an overwhelming, like, exciting opportunity that we have you here because there's so many things that are going through my mind, but I don't think I've ever had this. I don't think anyone's ever really, most of us, right? You just explore and you experience. Health class doesn't teach you anything, right? It's all, so again, what we're getting down to.
You used to teach health class, essentially, right? You used to do sex education for college students.
Sex education counseling, which is really like we worked in an office where people came in if they had questions. And like I said, majority of the time it was about handing out condoms, handing out toys, giving book references, or saying, that looks green, you should go see a doctor.
Yikes.
Wait, what, like gonorrhea or something?
Yeah, like if they had like a discharge, like a picture or something like that. So it was just really a liaison to further education.
Right.
In the tricky world of neural pathways and brain drugs that are released during sexual encounters, when you're coaching people, right? You're a relationship specialist, dating coach. Your most recent book is about taking control of your dating life.
Yes.
How do you help people differentiate between being free and open with sex and relationship and treating those two things like drugs?
All right.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Is that a
acknowledging the fact that sex and relationships are addictive, and that the neurochemicals that are released during these interactions can make you pair bond with someone that you may not necessarily be compatible with.
Right.
I think that's massively important. I think we actually did this for food 10 years ago. I think that 10 years ago, we started to acknowledge that just because you're driven to eat something doesn't mean it's a healthy choice for you.
Right.
But before that, in the 80s, we're like Cheetos for breakfast, like whatever is good. Like there was some shit in the food groups guide back in the day that I'm like, why was there a block of cheese for breakfast? But I think now there's a re-education based on like what brain chemicals are released when you eat certain foods. Why are we driven towards sugar? Why do we choose to overconsume? And through that, we've been able to make a compartmentalization between comfort food and healthy food. I feel like the same thing has to happen for sex and relationships. There is a lot of twinkie ass relationships and twinkie ass sex, and you're going to have an indulge in a twinkie once in a while. You understand that is not a part of a healthy diet. And so I feel like when you start to understand the brain chemicals or neuroscience of sex and relationships, you can make enhanced decisions around your sexuality and not end up being lured into the idea that this twinkie ass relationship is the one for you.
Because I think that one of the ways that we lead young people astray is by giving them this false, overly romanticized, codependent vision of what sex is supposed to be, of what relationships are supposed to be, of what marriage is supposed to be, and it has to be this shimmering fireworks going off, live or die for that person, every breathing moment type of relationship. And to me, that just seems like we're treating each other like drugs. You know, we abuse young men and young women very differently as far as allowing them to connect with their feelings, allowing them to be vulnerable, allowing them to connect with other people. But it seems like we've all agreed that we can use each other to numb out and not feel the things that we're actually feeling. And so I was wondering if, when you are coaching people or writing this book, how you help people differentiate between those two things.
I mean, I think a massive part of that is just knowing who you are and knowing what actually works for you. Remember the show taping that we did where you were talking about you need to be in partnership to mirror your shit back to you. To be able to see relationships should be a way for you to get to know yourself better and a highest expression of yourself in which you improve. And I think that healthy relationships can be like several series of those, right? I think it's just massively important, kind of like with school. You spend 20 years, 18 years in school just through process of elimination in a healthy environment, figuring out where do you fit, right? Because that's a big part of the question, not just what do you think is cool, because we'd all be basketball players, but having this honest conversation around what's your strengths, what your weaknesses. Now, in elementary school, you try everything in a low-risk environment. And then the next high school, it's another process of elimination. And then college, university, it's another process of elimination. So that eventually, when you're old enough, you can make an actual intelligent decision on where you're going to fit best. So I think that similar education has to be done in terms of yourself. Who are you? What makes you tick? What's your attachment style? How did you grow up? How did that impact the way that you see relationships? How's that going to influence the kind of connections you're going to go towards? And through that information, can you make an advanced decision that's going to allow you to choose somebody who is likely to be a healthy partner for you?
Well, you said something before Chris's question about, you're like Twinkie, you called it a Twinkie.
Twinkie ass relationship. Twinkie ass sex.
I believe you called it a Twinkie ass relationship. Okay. Twinkie ass sex. I was in a relationship before in the past that the sex was so good.
Yes.
The sex was so amazing that we had so much fun together. I was blinded by it. I knew this person wasn't right for me, but it was an addiction. I could not have enough of this person. It's a dangerous game. You play, and then how do you differentiate that? Because sex is important. It is important, but you realize the older you get, in the beginning, it's, oh my God, she has to have this, or he has to have that, or that, his eyes, or he has to be muscular, or he has to be bald, or this. And now that is not necessarily on my top of the list. Like, I don't look at sex as number one. Attraction, sure. I have to be attracted. I have to look at someone and go, I could see myself on having sex with this person.
Yes.
I'm gonna sit on top of that person. That sounded. What I said was better. So I'm glad I didn't. But I feel like, wow, that girl, I'm attracted to her. Let's talk to her. Okay. Oh, she's smart. She's got her shit together. Then all this other stuff comes in. So I think it's not just, okay, sex, but how important do you think sex truly is on a scale of 1 to 5?
I think everyone gets to answer that question for themselves. I also think there's nothing wrong with having a connection with someone that is strictly sexual. And as long as you have the power to say that's all that this is. When I've had friends with benefits in the past, like, I understand that when we're cuddling after sex, oxytocin is released, so there ain't no cuddling. I understand the way that my brain works, that my pride gets in the way if I text someone and they don't text me back. So I made sure that I always waited for my friends with benefits to reach out to me first. Like, I created a world where what they were offering was sex, and that's all I expected of them. And I never got into the game of thinking it was going to be more. So I do think that you can meet somebody and be like, the sex is bomb, and that's cool. Like I said, Twinkies are delicious once in a while. I just can't eat that every single day. So I don't have any faults with relationships that are just sexual based, as long as you really know that you know your damn self and you can create firm boundaries.
When do you tell someone, like when it becomes where you're having sex, you're having fun, you're doing all these things, and you've had sort of conversations, but there's no I love you, there's no I want to be with you, and you see the person every once in a while and you're still not sure, and you're like, this person's great, I can imagine us being great friends, but I almost feel like we need each other in a way at this point in our lives or this time. That's a dangerous game.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about within a relationship that you established at the beginning, this is just sex, like no emotional connection? Or are you saying, I've been hooking up with this person, we never talked about it?
Never really. I'm talking about like you've kind of become friends, you become good friends, you do a lot of things together, whatever, and then you start having sex, and then it's going on, and it's like, wait a minute, this is going on for a while, and there has to come a point where you're like, okay, I have to stop doing this now, or I have to commit to this person.
Hopefully that's a conversation that you guys have along the way a lot. Like the relationship that I'm in right now, I've been in for 11-ish months, and like it started off as like, oh, thank you. It started off as like a just sex kind of thing, like friends with benefits, really good friends. And then as it went, we talked about it a lot and decided this is more than that. We're in an open relationship, and then we just like being together. Like it's something that you establish the boundaries together as you go, and hopefully you can be on the same page with that.
Yes, Gen Z.
Yeah, because I have, I have
I'm a
friends.
millennial, thank you.
Because I have friends, and I've had to answer these questions, and I'm like, I don't know. It's like, I like this person. You've been hanging out with that person for a while. You've been doing these things together. Is this your girlfriend? And they're like, I don't know if it's.
It seems like old categories. Like it seems like categories that we grew up with, whereas now it seems like things are a little more fluid. And that might, if you're dating someone now, that might still be the categories that they operate by. But it seems to me that it mostly has to do with, actually nothing to do with this person, but what you have decided you want in the long run, whether it is a lifelong partner, whether it is to be married, whether it is to have kids, whether it is to never be married, but to have a lifelong partner, whatever, to be in a polyamorous relationship, whatever it might be. It seems like, let's put it this way, if I was in this situation, it would be important for me to know what I want, so that as this thing develops, we have a conversation about whether or not this is the person. And then if it's not, and it doesn't line up with what my goals are, then it's time to move on.
But sometimes it gets convoluted. Sometimes it's like, I'm going to give this a little more time. Maybe all of a sudden it's going to dawn on me that, oh my gosh, this person is the one. Or how much time do you need? And then months go by, and then you're like, I like this person. I don't know. It's. Have you ever had that game? It's not a game.
Yes,
have you ever had that?
Yeah, and it's awful.
It's not a great thing.
Yeah, I think that's just the easy fix. Is it has to, like, communication is not an activity; it's a culture that you create. And so I think that you have to create the culture of communication in the beginning, because you can always change your mind. Like I always get this all the time with people, because I'm a big fan of like quizzes and language and identifiers, because I think that's the key to communication, right? Yes, an apple's more than an apple, but when I go to the grocery store, I don't want to be like sorting through a pile of fruit. Like nobody wants to be labeled. Like it's important just to know for quick consumption. Yes, you can have an individual longer explanation, but it's important for quick consumption to say like, we're just friends, we're moonlighting right now. We're in an open relationship, we're in a free relationship.
What's moonlighting?
It's like a term that I use instead of swingers.
Oh, okay.
I don't think people fuck with swingers anymore, but to me, a moonlighter is like, yeah, we're in a monogamous relationship, but once in a while we have a threesome.
Got it.
And maybe we go to a sex resort together.
Have you ever explored that?
Threesomes?
Yeah.
I would love to. I just haven't successfully. I actually said that to my partner, my husband, last month. I'm like, we got to do this threesome thing next month. Like, we got to really figure this out. Yeah, because we're trying to get pregnant right now. And so every time that we don't, you're like, let's try to extend our freak period even longer. Right. So, because I feel like once you're pregnant, you got to kind of settle down. So,
in the book, The Game of Desire, you took 6 people or 7 people?
6, yes.
6 women. Mm-hmm. And restructured their dating life.
Yes.
And so explain to us how you did some of that, especially when it comes to things like language and boundaries and identifying who you are as an individual in relationship.
Explain that sort of dating with dominance, that idea, because that surprised me. And I think a lot of guys right away might be turned off and go, wait a minute, I don't want a girl who's like, this is how it's.
Yes.
Explain that.
I think dating with direction is probably more the language to that, dating with an intention. So the book is a 5-phase strategy that I work with these people through. Number one is know. You got to know yourself inside and out, going back to that whole 18 years to figure out what fucking job you're going to have. And yet when it comes to romantic relationships, we're like, go out there and pick and good luck. Yeah. And imagine you've never gone to school before and you open a newspaper one day. It's like, do you want to be a brain surgeon or a neuroscientist, or do you want to be a plumber? Like, how are you supposed to pick the right thing if you've never gone through that process of learning yourself, having instruction, failing, trying again, and that being okay? So knowing yourself is a big part. Like the kind of controversial thing of the knowing yourself is the mirror can't see itself. So as much as you can do quizzes and assessments and self-identify, there's a lot of shit that you do that you probably don't recognize, which you said so eloquently the other day, which I just could have humped you for. It was such a beautiful sentence. So one of the things I suggested the people in the group do was go back to an ex and interview them to say, and there was a really strict like question list to really ask. It's not about closure. Like, what was I like when you loved me?
We did that with my ex-girlfriend on the show.
Well, we didn't have the checklist. I wish we'd had this checklist. Tell us what was on the checklist.
Did I talk too much about myself? Did I speak to your highest self? Did I change for the worse at some point in the relationship? Was I too needy? Did I not ask for enough? Was there a good balance between being friends and being sexual partners? Did you feel like I tried to include your family and friends enough? Did you feel like I communicated when I was wrong and that I had owned up to when I was wrong? So just kind of questions like that.
So you go back and learn
send me
from
this list, please?
Yeah, I want to know how it went with your ex, though. What did you learn?
Can you write this down, or should I just have to listen?
We're going to get the book.
We'll Google it. Yeah, we'll
get
the book.
I'm getting the book.
I should have brought the book.
Will you sign
I
it
feel
if
like
I
I wasn't the best of guests. I came from something else today, but next time I'm bringing like a bunch of sex toys for everybody, books, like.
No, this is
we only met 3 days ago.
Right.
I wish I had had time to read the book before we had this conversation, which is why I'm asking you to walk us through it a little bit. But I cannot wait. I'm going to get the audiobook.
This is fascinating to me because I'm thinking of all these things when you're answering those questions. We could all be a certain way.
Yes.
We could all be like, yeah, you're talking about yourself too much, or you didn't ask me how I felt enough, and you're like, you start to think, and you're like, it'd be interesting to know, but people's perspectives, depending on how it ended, could be, if it ended well and you're still friends, you might get an honest, open answer. Some people might be like, fuck you. I'm not, but it's like, it's a difficult
Oh, for sure. I mean, one of my favorite philosophers, Elaine de Botton, he has a talk on why you'll marry the wrong person. And in essence, it's because people don't know what's fucked up about them. Like, they don't actually know what their intimate flaws are. And he's like, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, your family knows what your shit is, but they love you and they've kind of worked around it. Your friends know, but like, they just want to hang out with you for an hour on Tuesday. Like, they're not interested. Like, I have some friends who are, late 30s, single. I know exactly why. I'm not saying shit to them though. Like, I just don't want to get into that kind of, and they've never asked before.
Right.
So a lot of your friends know, and he's like, your exes definitely know, but you don't talk anymore. So I think the closest chance you have at getting an honest depiction of what you're like, especially I think in an intimate relationship, is the ex, because they don't have any reason to delude you and they don't have to see you the next day and hang out with you.
Right. It's over. Can you just fill out this questionnaire?
Yeah.
Tell me how your experience was.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
This is kind of a weird question, but it came to mind when you were talking. And I thought, do people just get married to have kids? Because, I mean, Chris, I'm going to ask her because I know you're married. I don't know, what you guys are doing. But like, people say every time I talk to somebody who's married or divorced, they're like, why are you going to get married? Why do you want to have kids? Unless you want to have kids, don't fucking get married. There's no fucking reason.
Oh, there's tons of reasons.
Do you know how many people have told me this?
Tell us the reasons.
Many.
Tell us the reasons for long-term relationship and marriage.
Honestly, I think that marriage, again, going back to labels, right? It just helps people to understand the union and the connection. There has only been one president who has been a bachelor. Like, marriage as it
Wait a minute.
tells.
Some have been treated. Some were acted like bachelors.
Right. Some been acting. Some stay acting like bachelors.
Yep.
But I think that there is a certain perception of somebody who is married. There's a perception of the relationship, and we are social animals. You cannot deny that people's opinion matter. And so I think marriage as an institution is important for tax benefits. I think marriage can be important for people. If you're religious, marriage is a way to solidify your union in front of God. A lot of people's families, the pressure is so enormous to get married. As somebody like who lived with my partner first before we got married, we got asked all the time, like, how has marriage changed things? And it's really literally none at all. But I would think that some people actually do tend to feel a stronger bond as a result of it. So I think marriage continues to be important, but in all honesty, like what label really is important other than for a form of communication?
Yeah, because you were just talking about, like, you know, it sounded a lot like the reasons were for what other people think. You know, we're this, we're that. It's better for tax purposes. But that's, I mean, to me, it's like you want to get married. I mean, look, I want to be with somebody who I'm like, I'm head over heels about. I can't be with anybody else. Like, what else is there left to do? Want to get married? Fuck, let's get married. I don't want to be with anybody else. But it's hard to know that that's what you want for the rest of your life. At least I haven't encountered that, but maybe once in my life, and fucked it up.
But I don't think modern monogamy puts the pressure on for the rest of the life thing anymore. Modern monogamy is one person at a time. And I think that we actually, if anything, lean towards divorce. And divorce is a celebration and people want to see you get married again. So I think that marriage is someone put it to me really interesting, that marriage is the only thing that we celebrate the intention. Like for school, you got to finish before we party for you. And you got to wait till you finish or do that thing.
Right.
We're like, they're going to
The
try.
wedding reception should be on your deathbed,
Yeah.
side by side. Yeah.
Hey, so what do these women have in common? Like, why are they successful now? From the book, from the, you know, the surprises, what is their attitude? How do they do it? How do they, if you're a woman, right?
Yes.
Sometimes
It's an
you should
important
ask.
question.
But what
are your pronouns?
How do you start? Let's say dating sucks for you. This is not working. But with your philosophy and your book, pretend you're someone else. These are the steps I would take if I were you. And you
Okay,
married.
so I didn't get to the 5. So I'd say no, first and foremost. Then you
What's
have
no? No is
know
Know
yourself.
yourself.
Know yourself.
Inside and
Okay,
out.
like you talked about. Good. No.
And get advanced feedback from others. The mirror can't see itself.
Okay.
Number 2 is you have to change. So once you've started identifying some things about yourself, maybe you realize you're fearful avoidant, or you've realized that you're a really neurotic individual. That process of actively changing, and change takes time. Going to that, like the brain wants to do whatever it's done before, neural pathways. So it takes a long time to change a pattern or behavior, but you can do just that.
What if that change? Because we're on number 2 now. What if that change is something that other people see, that it's a habit you have, or something that just is kind of like, ugh, that's the one thing I hate about this person, right? Mm-hmm. And
You love it about yourself?
no, but someone has to tell you, right?
Yes.
You have to find out, because I think sometimes people are blinded by, like, you know, Rosenbaum, I don't like when you interrupt me. You know, whatever it is. I mean, I'm like kind of a spaz and I do things, but maybe somebody has something. Let's say a friend has not a tick, but a thing they do that is just a certain style of dancing, or a certain style of something that you're like, oh, no wonder you're single, dude. Seriously, like, dude, you shouldn't do that, because girls, fuck that, man. I'm telling you, anybody watching you from the outside, I'm trying to help you get laid. Don't do that. Don't fucking rip off your toenails in public. Don't, whatever it is.
Definitely don't do that.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, somebody needs to step up and tell you.
Yes.
Like, this is a turnoff, dude. Girls have talked to me before it. You have got to address this and change it. I know your pride is hurt.
But it sounds to me like a big part of step 2 is doing a very thorough job on step 1.
Yes, and that's the
And a
thing is,
makeover.
someone else's change is none of your business. That could be your mom, it could be your husband, could be your wife, could be your kid. That you can influence, you can try, you can sow the seed, but that really you cannot control that. It is not up to you, and so it has to come from a place. And also, too, it's so fucking hard to change.
Oof.
If you don't want to do it, it's not going to stick.
Nobody's going to do it for you.
It's not going to stick.
It can also be like an elimination diet, right? So if what was that?
I literally, when he said that, I had a burp. I just kind of threw it away.
Oh.
Sorry.
I thought it was the jack off symbol.
Yeah, it was like you.
I
don't need to hear it.
The jack off single. Fuck off, jack off. Go ahead.
If I have a goal and I am not accomplishing it, then something has to change. And if I don't know what that something is, then everything has to change. And so there's a way to, like, strip it down to the studs, start over, and take a look at each one of these things. Okay, is this the problem? Let's insert this back in. Okay, that's okay.
Yes.
It's fine. Let's try another one. And it's like an elimination diet where all you eat is water for 2 days, and then you add broccoli back in. Okay, no allergies there. Chicken. Okay, no allergies there. so that there's like a complete remodeling of the situation.
But you better hope it works, because if not, you're going to be like, well, this fucking didn't work. You know what I'm doing? I'm going back to all the shit I was
and then
eating.
you change again.
You change back to
You
the way you
change
were.
What's the third
again.
step?
At least I was getting laid before.
What I want to say about change quickly is that like that is like my pet peeve advice to give to singles when they are struggling, right? When someone's like, I just can't figure it out. Like, what should I do? And someone's like, just be yourself. I was like, apply that to any other situation when someone is not doing what they want. I can't land an audition. You know what I mean? Just be yourself. You're
Right.
probably like, hey, get back to class. Maybe watch a couple movies. Let me see what you're doing in a room. Like, okay, like here's some things you should tweak. So I think change is acknowledging that things aren't going the way that you want. And I would hope that that's forever in life. I'm changing constantly. I actually just put out a list of shit I have to change about myself. I did it 2 days ago. And then number 3 is you got to learn. So once you know what's wrong with you, you've actively started to change things that aren't working. You have to start flooding yourself with new information. And so in that part of the book and process, I invited a series of experts, from psychologists who talked about why relationships fail, to body language experts talk about, hey, here's what your intent is, here to actually express and communicate that. We brought in a phone sex operator to talk about tuning your voice and being intentional in that way. We brought in a stripper who talked about consent and starting conversations, which was really fucking cool. Then we had a flirt expert who was non-binary, who really just said like, throw out all the gender things that you've ever heard. Like, just here's how to connect with people, which was really great. But you can learn from almost anybody.
Right.
I'm sure if I sat here right now, you guys have some incredible tips, which I'm gonna put you in the spot right now. What is like your pro? Okay, like you met someone that you're interested in and you want to raise the stakes. What's your pro tip?
Met someone I'm interested in and I want to raise the stakes. Go from what? Friends to something else? Go from acquaintances
It could
to...
be sow the seed, or even just like a thing. It could be a social cue that you do, or a joke you always tell, or like you have a wingman. There's a little something that you do, or
Something
marketing
that you do to
technique.
get in.
Yeah.
Okay. I never felt comfortable with my looks, even from a young age. I was awkward. I was not popular. I was the shortest kid in my school. So for me, it's always been funny. I could always fucking put something on it. I could make a twist. I learned to just, that was my defense mechanisms, to not get beat up, to have people protect me, make them laugh. He's my bodyguard, Chris. He's a big guy. I'll take care of me. If I make him laugh, he likes being around me. So I know that when I'm talking to a girl, look, she may not, I know she's not looking at me and going, wow, that guy's fucking hot. She might go, oh, he's kind of cute. But I know if I talk to her, I know if she just listens and hangs out, she's going to have fun. She's going to smile. She's going to open up. We're going to laugh, and we're going to laugh hard. And I think that's my thing. Like being
Do you know
funny.
why in the looks department you win? Because you're so familiar. Like you look like the Wii avatar, like the white guy Wii avatar. So familiarity
tweets with the
is incredibly attractive, right? Because I've seen you before in movies and TV shows, and so like I have already like a comfort towards you.
Oh, I thought you meant just in general, because people do always think
No,
they
in
know
general,
me.
for sure.
Oh, in
Yes,
general, like,
yes.
dude, did we go to college together? You
Yeah.
look like my brother's friend. You look like, I always get that.
That's insanely attractive. So
Really?
yes, insanely attractive.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because the
Thanks.
subconscious is drawn towards you. The reason why we don't like snakes is because we don't have very many interactions with them. And if we've seen 2 things that were negative, we get this immediate fear. But you, I'm like, oh shit. Like even as I was sitting here, to be
I'm
honest with you,
harmless.
I'm sitting here and I realized that I only looked at the positive things in the room, like the Muppets. And then I started to tune into this Freddy Krueger holding this dead baby over here and looking around at these guns. I'm like, am I in a safe environment? But it was just because you look the way you look. I'm like, oh, this is comfortable. So
Yeah, there's hockey jerseys here. There's Harrison Ford holding his, what is that?
The Idol?
The Idol. There's Freddy Krueger. You got the Nazis burning on a candle, but you know, I'm Jewish. I hate Nazis. You got the Imperial Walker. You're right. Look at all this kiss.
could
with
be
his tongue
quite
out.
frightening. Right.
Yeah, I should have more friendly things in this room. Oh, there's a tennis racket.
What can I ask for somebody who's not funny and who doesn't know how to infuse
You're
humor?
funny.
I mean, I said somebody. I didn't put myself on the spot. I wasn't part of my change list.
Oh, because you started the conversation with, you mean Dick, what was it? Dick Suck, what is it?
Oh yes, dick sucking distance.
Yeah, from the microphone. Go ahead.
For somebody who's not funny, like what is like, okay, here is a go-to that you always use or a formula that works well.
So giving advice to someone to use some of my things that work, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Sort of? I always talk about my insecurities right off the bat.
Ooh, self-deprecating humor.
Self-deprecating is, people like that. It works best. And like, you don't want to see some guy in a movie talk about like, oh, he's got everything going and he's got the Mercedes. You want the lovable loser who's kind of, you know, oh, I like that guy. He's not talking about himself. He's self-deprecating. He's always down on himself. That's the more like, I want to see that guy win.
Mm-hmm.
I always said no the color of your tail feathers. So if you, one, know yourself, you figure out what you're good at and what you're passionate about, and you put yourself in a strategic position for people to see that, you're instantly attractive to everyone in the room.
I love that. Give me an example.
If you're a good singer, or never mind that, if when you sing, you are honest and you are full of light, put yourself in that position. Go to karaoke.
Yes.
Go to places where you are the highest version of yourself, and you're instantly advertising yourself at your pinnacle. Whether that's nerd culture, go to a convention, whether that's whatever your thing is.
Do you know what I would do, Chris?
Yeah.
Out of a defense mechanism, I just realized that. I still do it, I think. I always feel like, gosh, I have such good friends. If I can get this girl just to meet some friends and hang out with a bunch of us in a comfortable situation, which is not just me and her trying to sell myself or doing whatever, if she can just hang out like an open and everything's comfortable and there's someone, she'll go, wow, his friends are really fucking cool and down to earth and not Hollywood type, which probably says a lot about him.
And you probably love who you are around your friends.
I'm myself and they are themselves, and we have so much fun, and they're a bunch of real people. I don't hang out with big movie stars. Sometimes Chris, he's here on Wednesdays to do the podcast, but I mostly don't hang with a lot of big actors. I mean, I'm friends with a lot of actors. I got them on a lot of shows, but when I say friends, like, you know, the people I hang out with all the time, there's 3 groups of people that I hang out with. There's my best close friends, which are, you know, there's a few of those guys where you just, you know, you could sit there in your boxers and watch anything and eat and no one cares about anything. Then there's that group that's like the close group of 20 people or whatever. And then there's you got your celebrity friends. You know what I mean? Some of those actually equate into the first group. But you know, I could have fun and I can assimilate, I guess is the right word. I'm by the way, I'm a chameleon like that. I can jump into something and at least pretend I'm comfortable.
So you can go hang out with her friends too.
I could. And that's something that I definitely have to work on. I remember dating this girl. She goes, why do we always hang out with your friends? And I remember going, because you don't have any?
No.
I didn't say, I know it sounded like a dick, but I was kidding, but I didn't say that. I just said, I would love to hang out with your friends, but you never ask me to. Mm-hmm. She goes, well, you won't want to. I'm like, no, you just ask me and I will. I actually liked a couple of her friends and I would. But you have to ask. You have to step up. If I'm the fun one, this is a good thing. If I'm like always like, hey, we're going to go bowling, we're going to karaoke, we're going to go to a concert. I'm like Clark Griswold. I'm organizing everything for my friends. So they kind of come along and they're having fun. But don't resent me and go, oh, we always do what you want to do. Step up. Let's go. Tonight, we're going here. Next Tuesday, we're going to dinner at this place. Great, I'm in. I just need somebody to step up. I wish my friends would step up. Hey, let me organize this.
But that was
time.
her stepping up, though.
What?
When she said to you, like, I want to chill with my friends, that was her step up moment of like, why do we always do that?
But I'm like, hey, just invite me. When? Let's go. You know what I mean? Just speak up. Just, you know, I just feel it's important that for conversation to be.
But there's defense. I mean, that's what she was doing, is what you're saying. She's just not doing it the same way.
Yeah.
Right.
So we've made it through 3 steps. What's 4 and 5?
4 is just practice. And that's why I think that like flirting is just a way of life. It is a natural social lubricant. And you can't expect to dunk in the 4th quarter of game 7 if you're not doing it in practice. Like your brain, again, going back to those like neural highways, in situations of stress, it's not about who you want to be. It's just who you are. And who you are is the path most traveled. Like your brain's just going to do what it's always been doing. And so if you're not flirting all the time, if you're not being funny all the time or being endearing or empathetic
it's
all
foreign
the time,
to you.
It's going to be foreign, and especially in a stressful situation where you want someone to think of you in a certain way.
Which is why if you don't complete the first 3 steps accurately, you will be practicing incorrectly.
Right,
You'll
exactly.
be practicing unhealthy or unhelpful habits.
But how do you practice exactly?
At Starbucks, you know, you go and you make a joke to the person behind you.
Anybody.
Anybody.
Does practice count if you're with your friends and a couple of the girlfriends kind of go hang out with the guy and go, hey, just pretend we're a girl?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think
anything goes, right?
Don't role play too much with your friend's girlfriend.
Right.
It won't end well.
Yeah.
Well, I think also role playing too is like that person's now giving a manufactured response because they're like, oh, we're in role play mode. I just think it's just more fun. I flirt all the time. I try to seduce all the time. Like, I think that it allows me to be good at it for when it really is important. And I think that if you are somebody who has social anxiety, it's just also to like, for example, I talk about vabbing on the show with Lily.
Yes.
And
first of all, explain what vabbing is.
All right, so vabbing is for people with vulvas to take a fresh sample from the Bartholin gland and you apply it to yourself as though it was perfume on your pulse points, because that's how scent distributes through heat in the body. Yeah, that's vabbing.
Do you know, I think scents are so important. Like I got this cologne, by the way. And I'm telling you, I know it works. My friend Chris goes, Rosenbaum, you got to try this stuff. And I remember Sprague go, yeah, it smells pretty good. He goes, no, man. I have women turning around and going, what is that?
Yes.
Smell good. And I've used this stuff for years. And if you ever give someone a hug or if you're ever around, they're like, who is that? It smells sweet. It smells good.
This expert just told you that she vabs.
Yeah.
You're glossing right over that and talking about cologne.
Sorry.
Well, I think he's just saying you find the smell for you, and you know what I mean? You stick with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had never heard of this. Apparently, had you heard of this, Mia?
No.
Okay. It's astounding to me.
You
Why?
know, it's scientifically...
Because it's unexpected.
It's unexpected. It's scientifically not proven to work. I mean, I think that there is a different... Like, you know, animals do this, right? They go right up to each other and they sniff each other's pheromones.
Right.
There's a certain part of the brain that... It's not the olfactory bulb, which has a scent. It's a different part that can sense a pheromone, and humans don't have that. And our sense of smell is not that incredible. But... I think anecdotally, people have had success, and that's why I said it on the show. I think it's less about this works and this brings all the girls and boys to the yard, and more about it's something that you do for a little boost of confidence. And the reason why that was in the practice section of the book is because they were going out to try out this experiment. But really the whole thing was you have to talk to people to see if they react differently to you. And you have to talk to them in close proximity.
Oh, interesting.
And so it really wasn't about the vabbing. It was more so about forcing them to go towards somebody, start a discussion.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And what was the fifth step after practice?
B. Yeah.
B.
Consistently B. I mean, I think it's supposed to come second nature after that point. But I think it's also repetition of the 5 phases all over again.
Amazing. The book is called...
The Game of Desire. 5 surprising secrets to dating with dominance and getting what you want.
That's right.
You know, dominance, though. You haven't really talked a lot about dominance. Dating with dominance. You just saying, just like dominate dating.
Dating with, I'm going to say it again.
Like just strong control. Like more like, because you made it, you changed the name a little.
Don't be a passenger. Don't wait for someone to pick you. Don't wait for them to call you back. Don't wait for the right person to find you. Don't wait for them to bring up sex. Don't wait for them to bring up the conversation of what is this relationship. I think you can be dominant without being aggressive. There's a really big difference.
Is vabbing in the can I look up?
Is that what you're doing over there?
Yes, it's in the Urban Dictionary.
It is.
Are you looking for the definition?
I just actually want to see it for reals.
You know, one of the things that Rachel and I do, which as far as communicate, we've realized that our communication is not just going to happen organically. Mm-hmm. Like we actually have to take steps, and like you were saying, there has to be a form to the relationship. And what you were saying with the exes, we kind of do in real time, so that we do not become exes, and we do something called feel better, want love. You sit, it takes 4 minutes, and it's a check-in that we do where each person with no response, there's no conversation, there's no argument. So here's what I'm currently feeling. Here's what I can do better, what I feel I can do better in this relationship. Here's what I want more of in this relationship, and here's something that I love about you.
Yes, compliment sandwich.
Look at you.
Yeah, it is the most helpful thing our therapist has given us.
Yes.
Feel better, want love. And it's almost like the questionnaire, but in real time.
Yes.
So that you can make adjustments. So that because my wife wants something or needs something from me on a certain day, it doesn't mean it's going to be the same thing tomorrow or the day after that. Right.
How often do you guys do this? You said
it goes in waves. Sometimes we're really good at it. We try to do it weekly. But when we first started, we were trying to do it every day. We haven't done it in a while. We should do it.
Today's the day.
Vabbing in the Urban Dictionary. It's pretty. I mean, when a woman sticks her fingers in her vagina and puts the juices behind her ears to attract men and get laid.
Right.
No. Is there?
The clinical explanation was a little more
Well,
elegant.
he's looking at Urban Dictionary. That was written by a 15-year-old.
Well, what about babbing? Ball sweat behind your ears.
Give that a shot.
You know
never
what?
put
Chris
that-
introduced me to gabbing.
What's
That's why I
gabbing?
rub guacamole in my beard.
Cheese, man. Cheese, man. That's ridiculous. This has been. Hey, listen. I'm going to ask you a question, but I want you to be honest with me. I'm just going to go out on a limb here. I think you should come back on this show at least once every couple months. I would love to have you as just a returning, we'll have like you up on the Instagram for people to like have questions. Hey, our sex therapist is coming in. Our sex educator, our author. She knows so much. I've had so much fun here. I could listen to you forever. I'm just thinking, if you want, think about it. But if you came in like every other month, whatever.
Maybe she could restructure your dating profile.
Well, I'd probably have to pay for that, but that's fine.
Well, you know what? I just think from a standpoint of me being a better guest next time and bringing a bunch of goodies, absolutely, I would love to come back. This is such a joy, and I've learned a lot. I think that's a really big thing.
But I'm asking you to come back more than just once.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
Well, you know what it is? Healthy intimacy is one step at a time and being like, this felt good. Let's do this again.
Yeah.
I never want to
love that.
overcommit.
Let's not plan too many.
I'll come next time. If you say come next Tuesday, I'll be here next Tuesday. I don't know the Tuesday after that, though, because maybe I'll come next time and there's more like weird dolls in here and I'm going to start to feel like, it's not a safe space for me.
Yeah, look, if you guys like this, if you like Shan and you're just enjoying this and you want more of her, tweet it out. Tweet her. Where's your Instagram?
You can follow her at Shan Booty.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, let her know, because I think it could be really fun having her come on and like, hey, we got a lot of questions here, but people want to know things. How do we do these things? It could be whenever, but as long as you committed to one more time.
Yes.
The woman is Shan Boodram. The book is The Game of Desire. Pick it
5
up.
surprising
you
secrets.
can read it. There's also an audiobook.
Correct.
Do you read
yes,
the audiobook?
I do.
Yeah, I'm going
I'm
to get the
getting
audiobook. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us.
This
What a
was an
treat.
immense joy. Thank you, Mia. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Chris. This is great.
Before you leave, what's wrong with me?
You know what?
No, honestly,
Save it for next time.
no.
Save it for next time.
You think?
We're gonna send that survey to one of your exes,
All right,
and we're gonna
fine.
send it to Shan, and then we'll have her break you down.
Maybe
All
we'll
right,
bring the
guys.
X back for the next episode, too. I would love that. I think it's so fascinating.
The only thing is we couldn't talk about sex or anything because she's married. I love her husband. There's a very
very
respect.
good friends.
There's respect thing here. She has a kid, and
Is there another ex we could talk to?
yeah.
Stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Well, we're
His
friends.
dejected
We're friends.
voice.
I mean, we're friends. Goodbye, guys.
And our hopes and fears collide. Was it really worth the ride? Never took you at all for granted.
And once again, a huge thanks to our presenting sponsor, Smile Direct Club. For huge discounts, go to smiledirectclub.com/podcast and use our offer code INLOVE.
Some people think we were always on the brink of something incredible, that our love was indelible. I guess we know that all good things, they gotta go. Maybe it's fantasy, and sometimes so